In the highlands of northern Ethiopia, there is a field of towering obelisks. The largest of them once stood over 30 meters tall, carved from a single piece of granite, weighing more than 500 tons. It was the tallest obelisk in the ancient world, taller than anything the Egyptians ever erected. This obelisk was not built by pharaohs. It was built by a kingdom that rivaled Rome, traded with India, and controlled the entrance to the Red Sea for over 800 years. A kingdom that developed its own writing system, minted its own gold currency, and converted to Christianity before most of Europe had even heard the name Jesus Christ. This was the Kingdom of Aksum. And it was one of the greatest empires the world has ever seen. The story of Aksum begins around the 1st century CE. Located in what is now northern Ethiopia and Eritrea, the city of Aksum sat at the crossroads of 3 continents. To the north lay the Roman Empire, with its insatiable demand for luxury goods. To the east, across the Red Sea, lay Arabia and the trade routes to India. To the south lay the interior of Africa, rich in gold, ivory, and exotic animals. Aksum controlled all of it. The kingdom's port of Adulis, on the Red Sea coast, became one of the busiest trading hubs in the ancient world. Ships from Egypt, Arabia, Persia, and India docked there, loading and unloading goods that traveled thousands of miles. Aksum grew wealthy not by conquering, but by controlling the flow of commerce between Africa, the Mediterranean, and the East. What made Aksum so remarkable was not just its military power, but its sophistication. The Aksumites developed their own writing system, Guizi, which remains the liturgical language of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church today. They carved inscriptions in Guizi, Greek, and Sabian, demonstrating their ability to communicate with the diverse cultures that passed through their ports. They minted their own gold, silver, and bronze coins, bearing the images of their kings. These coins were not just currency. They were propaganda. By minting gold coins, Aksum announced to the world that it possessed the wealth and stability of a major power. The coins circulated as far as India and Rome, carrying the image of Aksumite kings to lands that would never see an Aksumite soldier. The most visible legacy of Aksum is its obelisks. The Aksumites carved massive granite stelae to mark the graves of their kings. The largest, known as the Great Stele, stood over 30 meters tall and weighed more than 500 tons. It was carved from a single piece of granite, transported from a quarry several kilometers away, and erected without the use of cranes or pulleys. How the Aksumites accomplished this feat remains a mystery. The obelisk was decorated with carved windows and doors, representing a palace for the dead. Only the ancient Egyptians built anything comparable, and they had access to the Nile for transporting heavy stones. Aksum had no such river. They moved these massive stones over land, using techniques that modern engineers still struggle to understand. The kingdom of Aksum reached its peak in the 4th century CE under King Ezana. Ezana was a warrior king who expanded Aksumite territory to its greatest extent. But his most lasting achievement was religious. Around 325 CE, Ezana converted to Christianity, making Aksum one of the earliest Christian kingdoms in the world. The conversion was not forced. It was a deliberate political choice that tied Aksum to the Byzantine Empire, the Christian successor to Rome. Christianity gave Aksum a shared identity with the Mediterranean powers and opened new avenues for trade and diplomacy. Ezana's inscriptions after his conversion no longer begin with thanks to pagan gods. They begin with the sign of the cross. Aksum became a center of Christian learning and pilgrimage. The city was home to churches, monasteries, and a vibrant intellectual culture. According to Ethiopian tradition, the Ark of the Covenant itself was brought to Aksum by Menelik, the son of the Queen of Sheba and King Solomon. Whether this tradition is historically accurate is debated. What is not debated is that the Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion in Aksum remains one of the holiest sites in Christianity, and the city itself became a symbol of African Christianity that survived isolation, invasion, and centuries of pressure from surrounding Muslim powers. By the 7th century CE, Aksum began to decline. The rise of Islam changed the balance of power in the Red Sea. The new Muslim empires controlled the Arabian coast, cutting Aksum off from its eastern trade routes. The port of Adulis was gradually abandoned as trade shifted to ports controlled by Muslim merchants. Aksum's economic base crumbled. The kingdom faced environmental pressures as well. Deforestation and soil erosion, caused by centuries of intensive agriculture, made the highlands less productive. The capital itself was slowly abandoned as the kingdom shifted south to more fertile regions. By the 10th century, Aksum had ceased to be a major power. But unlike many ancient empires, it was never conquered by a foreign invader. It simply faded, its people carrying their traditions to the new centers of Ethiopian civilization that followed. The legacy of Aksum is not just a matter of ruins and artifacts. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church, which traces its origins to Aksumite Christianity, remains one of the oldest Christian traditions in the world. The Guizi script, developed by Aksumite scribes, is still used in Ethiopian liturgy. The idea of Ethiopia as a Christian kingdom, a bastion of faith surrounded by other religions, dates back to the Aksumite era. And the obelisks, though many have fallen, still stand as a reminder of what African engineers and architects achieved more than 1,000 years before colonial contact. One of the Aksumite obelisks has its own modern history. The largest standing obelisk was looted by Italian soldiers in 1937, during Mussolini's invasion of Ethiopia. It was taken to Rome and erected in the Piazza di Porta Capena, a trophy of colonial conquest. For 70 years, Ethiopia demanded its return. Italy finally relented in 2005, returning the obelisk piece by piece. It was re-erected in Aksum in 2008. The return of the obelisk was not just about a stone. It was a statement that the treasures of African history belong in Africa, not as trophies in European squares. The Kingdom of Aksum was one of the great civilizations of the ancient world. It was a trading empire that connected Africa to Asia and Europe. It was a military power that conquered lands on 2 continents. It was a center of art, architecture, and writing that produced monuments rivaling anything in Rome or Persia. And it was a Christian kingdom before most of Europe had had the gospel. Yet for generations, Western history textbooks treated Africa as a place with no history before colonization. Aksum proves otherwise. Its obelisks still reach toward the sky. Its coins still bear the faces of its kings. And its story, carved in granite and inscribed in Guizi, still waits to be told. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the story, hit that like button and subscribe for more journeys through history. See you in the next one.